I'm Allison, and I'm a compulsive overeater. Very gratefully weigh and measure 3 meals a day from the Gray Sheet, commit those meals to my sponsor, don't eat in between no matter what, and abstinence is the most important thing in my life without exception. And I remember when I first came in, I think it took me like a month to be able to memorize the mantra. Like it was like a foreign language. It was impossible. And I think I had some resistance to the grateful part. And I behaved as if someone was twisting my arm and forcing me to do Gray Sheet. Um, I came in. I came in the summer of 1991, and my abstinence date, after many day ones, is September 29th, 1991. So I just celebrated, I think it's 33 years. I don't know. It's getting kind of blurry, for better or worse. I was kind of reminiscing with another GreySheeter earlier, about how we had gotten abstinent, I think together, and or in the same decade, because now it's a different century. And when I was counting days, and she had the same experience, someone who had 90 days while I was just putting my first week together, hours, seemed like a decade. Like 90 days seemed like someone had a decade. And then someone who had a year seemed like they had, a lifetime. And I thought people that had more than a year of back-to-back abstinence, I thought they were lying. They were just straight out lying. Like, okay, maybe they did this Monday through Friday, but they binged their brains out on the weekends. And, or they made exceptions, at parties and, birthday parties and gatherings. It just seemed, it defied logic that someone could not eat sugar and carbs at all back then. And I had people fight me, like at restaurants and stuff, like, you can't do that. That's not, it was 1991. It was the Stone Age. And people would argue with me that it was impossible to live without sugar and carbs. Well, okay, it's 33 years later, and I'm living proof that it can and is done, and it's done to great results, in my opinion. I don't have cavities. I don't have cancer. Not that I'm excluded from it. It's all a possibility. I have all my limbs. I'm not diabetic. I'm not obese, which was a real fear of mine, to become obese. And I'm not anorexic. I'm kind of somewhere in between. I don't have any extraordinary health issues. Let me put it that way. I have like everyday health issues, if that. My first drug of choice was sugar, left, right, and center all day long. Given my druthers, that's what I would have eaten all day long. And I did at some point. There were days and months where that's all I chose. And it wasn't really until I got into program, I became sober. I didn't become sober. Someone brought me to my first meeting. Let me put it that way. And I can call it a get out of jail free card now. I couldn't back then. Again, I thought I was being tortured. You're going to torture me and make me get sober and make me get clean and sober at the age of 25. And I was going to be bored for the rest of my life. And I wasn't going to have any friends, and I was never going to have any fun. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And granted, the experience that I had was in New York City. There was at the time, and still is, this huge underground of people who were in recovery. So I was not bored. I was not alone. I did not, never have fun again. And it was because I gotten sober and clean, off the drugs that I was using. About 6 months into sobriety, my appetite came back like with a vengeance, because I had managed to suppress it completely with partying and nicotine and workaholism and whatever, going out, and my nighttime lifestyle. And I could not stop eating sugar. And initially, I didn't really care, because I was like, so what? And then once I quit smoking, a few years later, oh my God, all bets were off. And I always had something in my mouth. Always had something going. And it was miraculously a year later, I'd put on about somewhere between 20 and 30 pounds. I felt hefty. I think it's helpful to give our stats. It's not all about my stats, but it is helpful to give some perspective. So I was 29. I'm 5 feet. I'm still only 5 foot, maybe kind of 5'1". And I would swing from like a size 2 to a size 12, like kind of annually. And I didn't like it, but I couldn't help it. And I didn't think it was even my fault. Of course it was my fault. And I had been underweight when I came in sober, and then started to put the weight on. And then when I quit smoking, forget it. It was all over, and I could not stop eating. And just about anything, although my first choice was always like sweet or salty, sugar or carbs. I was like not binging on fine dining. That was not, I was not a top shelf drinker or eater, like I'll go for the cheapest and the lowest. That was fine. I just wanted volume. Anyway, it became really clear to me that I could not stop eating, and I didn't even want to stop eating. I just wanted to look good.
Unknown caller.
What's that? I really just wanted to look good. I didn't want to have any, I wanted to be able to eat the way I wanted to eat and not suffer any negative consequences from it. I wanted to be irresponsible and reckless. And I came in with one of my binge buddies and started counting days. And I remember that's when it became really obvious to me, I'll start Monday, I'll start Friday, I'll just get through the weekend. I'll start this morning and then I'll eat tonight. Okay, and I also had it very black and white. It was like, if I didn't eat, I was bad. But there was no description of eating. It was simply like I was going to starve or I was going to binge. And as soon as I picked up the first bite of anything, I was off to the races. And then I was telling myself all those lies and the promise, the January 1st promises all year long. I'm going to start over. I'm going to start fresh. I'll start today. I'll start tomorrow. Anyway, you've all heard it. And thankfully, thank God, being in community, I understand I'm not the only one afflicted with that. I'm not the only crazy person in the room pretending that I'm actually going to take responsibility for my health and well-being and put the food down. And I love that in Grey Sheet, we actually put the food down. And when we do have a meal, it gets weighed and measured. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end, period, end of story. And that's it. Get out of the kitchen, go back to your life. And then you get to have your next meal 4+ hours later. And I didn't know how I was going to make those 4 hours. I was drinking Diet Coke by the case and chewing gum by the supersized pack. And I'm grateful to say that I no longer use artificial sweeteners. I no longer drink diet soda. I don't drink any soda. I don't even drink bubbled water anymore, because I've heard some not so great things about that. Yeah. And not that it's a crime. I love my black coffee, love my black coffee. And it's like the only thing that I still have is my black coffee. And on occasion I do abuse my black coffee. So life has been a roller coaster. I've now been abstinent. I've got somebody walking in behind me who's in program. I've now been abstinent. I came in at 29. I was abstinent by the time I was 30, which was amazing. Amazing. Best gift I ever got. I had this beautiful body. I was 29. I was like a size 2. And when you're thank you. And when we are young, when I'm young, when I was younger, it didn't even matter how attractive I was, just the fact that I was young said it all. And I look around now at other younger women, and I'm like, it doesn't matter like what shape they're in. The fact that they're young is what matters. The youth is what is so attractive. So now I'm 62. I have not picked up since. I have been, it's been a wild ride, to say the least. I'm really grateful that I don't even consider picking up. It's not even, it's not even a question. Um, been around 30 plus years, so I've been through everything, life, death, the good, the bad, the ugly, on every level. Um, some of the highlights of my life are I went to grad school at the age of 51, and completed a doctorate. Um, and that was quite an accomplishment for me because I had gone to undergrad and I was trashed and I barely graduated undergrad. So it was a great way to it was a corrective experience. And I've had a lot of different jobs and careers. I feel like I'm not terribly successful professionally. Maybe I am more than I realize, but whatever. We're still working on it. I got married last year for the first time ever, 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 which I didn't think that was ever going to happen. Um, yeah, I've been to foreign countries. Um, you know, I I think the piece that baffles me the most is that I'm in a lot of program circles and nobody wants this. Like I was always drawn to the thin girls going, "How did you do that? What are you doing? How did you get thin?" And nobody approaches me. Um, and I'm kind of baffled by that. I mean, I know there's a lot of different options now, but many of them are expensive. You know, like this is amazing. It's a community. It doesn't break the bank. This food is not hard to get. I don't know how people do some of these other food plans, like I would say vegan, like macrobiotic was really big in the 90s, and it would give me a headache just watching people trying to like navigate their way through it. I've got a sponsee in AA who's counting like grams of stuff, not weight, like grams of fat, and I'm like it gives me a headache listening to her. Like, oh my God, just get real food and put it on a cup and scale, and you're done. It's awesome, and it's done. You don't have to go anywhere fancy to get it. You can get it at pretty much every restaurant, at least like a steakhouse, like that's easy. You don't have to go to a five-star anything. And I don't know. I'm just baffled that people would rather do. I don't know. Anyway, that's me. So I am ashamed and happy to say that I am not the poster child of Gray Sheet. Might be in these rooms, but I'm not out in the world, out in public. People do not want what I have. I don't know. Like all of you, I look 10 years younger than I am, at least. I feel 20 years younger than I am, at least. It's a great way to live. Um, for me, it's been amazing, amazing. Just like that, I don't have to eat. I don't have to pick up. I don't have to punish myself if I'm having a tough day, a bad day, or something difficult happens. If I'm challenged in any way, and I don't have to do this alone. So grateful I don't have to do this alone. So I'll stop now and just say thank you all very much for my abstinence. I'm super grateful to be here, and I hope I'm here for another 33 years. Thanks, no matter what.